Right. So in the routes folder, we'll create user, website, page, and the widget.js. Right. So there should be a route folder outside of everything, right? Just in the root, and then we'll create page.js, user.js, widget, website.js, and widget.js. So that's again just to separate the make the code more organized. All right, so we can make we're gonna connect those 4 files into the server.js. We can make just directly make all the functions inside the server.js, but it's just gonna be too many functions in one file. So we prefer to separate them into different files to make it more readable. Right. And now let's connect them together. So we're gonna put it before the server static says in production, right? So we're gonna using the code here to define the routes. This one should be coming before the assets. Put it here. Should be here. Right, so this is actually the finished version. I can just copy that. So let me just type that in. It's going to be app. I'm going to make the font size bigger. 25. Right. So it's going to be app. Let's just comments. Define the routes. App.use /API/user. And I want to import. Right. In the Node.js, when you want to import something, you're going to using instead of using import, you're going to using requires. Different syntax. Routes/user. It's wrong pass. Oh yeah, it's I still don't have anything inside here. I haven't exported anything from it yet. Just so it's gonna give me an error. It's okay. So let's keep import. Use /API/website. We're going to require /routes/website. Right. And the same thing, we're going to do it for the page, and let me just copy from the assignment description. Page and widget. Right. So we're going to comment this 3 out for now. We're only going to focus on the user. Right. Let me try this. Yes, it's changed the syntax. Yeah, it's just updated, recently updated the syntax of that. Alright, so that's how you connected the server.js to the 4 files. And there's one last thing in the client side folder. Right, in the client folder, make sure you're in the client folder, the package.json. Right, the package.json in the client folder, right, not the package.json outside. Package.json in the client folder. We're gonna go to the bottom. Right after the first curly brace here, we're gonna end in a proxy. Gonna be proxy equals to localhost 100. Actually, should be HTTP in the front. So this one is telling the client, like when you send the request, where do you want to send it to? We want to send it to our server. It is hosting at localhost 3100. Right. Telling it won't send all our requests to this place. Right, and it's in the package.json in the client folder. Right. So that's all the setup. We are able to start to move the functions. So right now this one gives me an error because I'm not export anything from the file. Let's go to the file just created, the user.js in the routes. Right.
The package.json is a file folder?
It is a file.
No, I'm asking.
It is a file. Right, so in the user.js, there's a couple things we need to do here. Let me check my old application. I just don't want to give you any wrong information here. Let me see. Right. So we're going to import. We're going to set it up. First, you can initialize the express. Constant express is equal to require the express, and we're going to also to enable the router from the express, which is constant router equal to the express, the router, right? So it's like a server-side router. Like in the client side, we have a React router DOM, which is a client-side router. Server side also needs a router, so it's going to be the router from express. And then we're gonna module.export. We're gonna export. Module exports this router. And let's set up for that. This one should remove the arrow inside the server.js. And what we can do here is, for example, let's start our server side. It's going to be actually, hold on, let's add something here. So we're going to say, first we'll do a test. A test to send hello to client. Right, so we're going to do router.get slash, right, get slash. Then we call function. We call function here. We'll take a function as input. So that means whenever we receive a request from client with a slash, we'll send the we'll call this function. We'll call this function. And this function gonna take two input: request and the response. And what we're gonna do here, we're gonna send a response. It's gonna be res.json. Say hello. Right, so whenever we receive a request from the client, we'll send back a response. Says JSON hello. So we're using the JSON format to transfer the string into a JSON format. Remember, as we talked yesterday, when you're using the JSON format when the data transfer between the client and server. Right, let's try it out. So if I npm starts the server, you should see the server started on port 3100.
Is there a way to make the font bigger?
Still bigger. Let me see if I can. How about that?
Yes. Okay.
Right, so let's try it out. So the server is starting, it is running, so I can go to the localhost 3100, localhost 3100, and still says like get slash is empty. But if I change my path into slash localhost 3100 slash API slash user, slash user, hit enter, I'm getting the hello. Right, this is what this function gives me. Remember, in the server.js, here we said if the routes equal to slash API slash user, we are going to call we're going to import this user.js file. And here we have the localhost 3100 slash API slash user. And it's going to looking for the get I have here, and it gives me what I return here. I send the response, it says hello, so this is why I'm getting a hello inside my page. This is a response I received from the server. If I change this one to sending a hello from server, I need to restart the server. Control C here to stop the server, and npm start to restart it. And I refresh the page here. I'm getting hello from server. So when the routes change, it's going to give you the different different information from the server. Right. So we can add in another one. For example, when the route.get, if I'm getting a /123, I'm going to call the function request the response, and then sending a response back. Rest the JSON. Hello from 123. I can do that, and let me stop the server and restart it and try it again. So if I still do /API/JSON, local 3100 /API/user, I'm still getting hello from server. But if I change the path here to /API/user and /123, I'm getting the hello from 123 here. This is the way you communicate with the server. You provide it different paths, different routes, and it gives you the different data that you want. Alright, so let's start our real user data here. We're going to delete these two examples here, as this is for testing. So we're gonna firstly thing we're gonna grab the user array we have in the client side. We're gonna move that to the server. Right. So we should have a constant users is equal to array of users information. Right. That's in the client side. Let's go grab it from client side. So in the client folder, in the source app.js. Right. That's where we used to have all the data. I'm gonna grab it from here. So looking for the users array, it is right here. Constant users, you see the user, right? I'm gonna grab this whole array. So from here to here, right? I'm gonna cut it out. Got it. Right. So this one you can just leave that here for now. We're gonna remove it eventually. Right, that is my users array. Right. So constant users equal to this array. Move the data from the client, from app.js to the user.js here. And that's the first step. And now, when we're gonna create a couple functions inside here to replace the functions we have in the app.js. In app.js, we have like a get user, update user, delete user, or those things, or create a new user. Those functions, we're going to remove them and put them inside the user.js here. Right? And the functions you need, I already listed them inside the assignment description here. We'll go down a little bit here. Those are the functions we will need. Right, so the first table is for the users function. We have find user by credentials. That is used to log in. Trying to find this user by the credential, and we have find user by username. Create a user, find the user by ID, and update the user. Those are going to be the functions we use to replace the current functions we have in the client side. And also have the server website functions, page functions, and the widget functions. Alright, so, and also the corresponding HTTP method I also mentioned here, and also the different URL patterns. Alright, so we're going to do it one by one. We're going to first do the find the user by credentials. And the URL pattern is this. Alright, so let's go ahead, go to the user.js here. So first function is find user by credential. Just adding some comments here. So it's gonna be router that get, right? Getting a route pattern, right? The pattern I mentioned inside here is /API/user as question mark username equal to username, and the password equal to the password. So the question mark here means it's a separator, right? It means like before the question mark, that is a URL pattern /API/user. After the question mark, there are the parameters, there are the variables. Username equal to the username I give it, and the password equal to the password I give it. So you can literally ignore the part after the question mark. So your pattern in this case is just /API/user. Right? So it's going to be just a slash. Because we already have the /user API/user in the server.js we defined here. So you can in the user.js here, it just means making a slash here. Right? So when you're passing to that, we want to run a function request a response. Right, we're gonna write the function body inside here, which basically does a similar thing we did in the client side. Right. So firstly, we're going to get your username and the password that the user entered. Right. That user entered. It's like when they're trying to log in, they're gonna enter a username and a password. We're gonna get in that from request. So we're gonna create a constant username is from the request. The query, the username, right? And the constant password equals to the request. The query, the password, right? That's going to be the way we're sending out the username and password into the server, and the server can use that to check, do we have this username and this password? All right, so we can do. We could create a let user equals to. Right, the user here. Create a variable. We say if there is a username and there is a password, we're gonna using a loop here to finding if we can find the user. Right. For let I equal to 0, I smaller than user's the length, I plus plus. Right. For inside the user array, let's say if we have this user have such username and password. So if user's item, the username, equals to the username I getting from the user, from client, and user's item, the password, equals to the password I getting from the user. I'm gonna say the user equals to the user's item. Right, we're gonna update this user's variable, and after the for loop, after if case, we'll go into raise the JSON. We're gonna check. Right, we're gonna check if the user is not existing. So if there's not user, let's say the user just equal to a null. That means there's no user, sending a null to the server. Right, and then we'll do the rest of JSON, this user to the client. So we're gonna check if there is a user, we're sending that user to the client. Right, send user back to client. If there is a user, we'll send the user to the client. Otherwise, we'll send the null to the client.
Actually, can you make it so that we see the whole screen? Like close the folders on the left, probably.
That's
perfect.
there are if username and the password are sent from client. If we receive a username and password, we know like what user trying to log in this time. And then we're gonna check it. Right. So here is if we found the a user with giving username and password. Just leave some comments here. Alright, so we can try it out. So let me just restart the server. npm start. Right, server started on port 3100. So let's try it out here. Right, so I can try it here. Remember the URL path here is /API/user. Right, this one well gives me a null. Right, this is just from change the format. Let's give me a null, because that means I didn't provide a username and password. Just give me a null. And if I provide username and password, question mark, username equals to Alice, and password equal to Alice. It's kind of like too small. I'm not sure if I can make it bigger. So this looks better. It's kind of annoying. Oops, what did I click? Right, it's /API/user. If I do /API/user, question mark, username, I provide a username, Alice, and password equals to Alice, and hit enter. So I received the oops, I hate it. I received the Alice information, right? Alice ID, her username, her password, her first name, her last name, her email. Right, so I pass in Alice username, Alice password, and it basically what it does is going to execute this function here. Execute this function here. It's getting the username, which is Alice. It's getting the password, which is Alice. And it's going to check if there is a user inside the array has a username Alice and the password Alice. If it does, we'll set it into the user and return it to the client. And this is how we're getting the Alice information inside here. If I change it, if a username equal to Shiyu, the password equal to Shiyu, and I'm getting the information for Shiyu. You may getting the format looks like that. Yeah, I'm using the Chrome add-on to make it looks better, but basically it's the same thing. Right, to make it looks better. So the username Shiyu, password Shiyu, first name, last name, email, and ID. Right, we have all things. And then if I give a wrong username or wrong password, for example, if I say the username equals Shiyu, password equal to Alice, I'm also getting a null. Right, I'm also getting a null. Because we don't have a user with such username and password, so it cannot find it. So it won't do. This if won't be executed. So the user is still empty. And so we're setting the user to null. All right. So that's our first function. We're going to use that to log in.
Can you scroll down, please?
Right, so we're getting some we're getting some information from request and sending something as a response. Right, so we're going to connect the server and the client right now. So in the clients, in the component, user login component. In your login component, we have a submit. Let's firstly running the client side here. So we have a server running on server starting on port 3100. You can opening a new terminal. I'm gonna just using this one, the split terminals. I'm gonna open one on the right. You can actually have one left and one right. And this one I'm gonna run the client side. So we're gonna first cd into client folder and do the npm start. Run the client side folder, client side files. Just give it 1 second to start the client side code. This is a functions we just created. Just keep showing this one to you. Right, starting the client. Right, so you can now view the client in the browser. So I have the client and the server both running. Right, so my client, let me just make it smaller, it's too big. Oops, go back to login. Right, so now if you try to log in, it's not gonna work because we removed the. Actually, it does work. I think. Oh, I forgot to save the file. Did I? App.js, save the file. Yeah, here we go. It's compiling. It shouldn't work. Login shouldn't work because I removed the user information inside my app.js. So if I try to log in, it should give me some kind of error. Yeah, give me error. It just cannot find the user's array from the client. Right. So let me just go back to the login page. Right. So we're gonna rewrite this on submit. When I click login, it should send a request to the server instead of like a try to getting the information from app.js. And this is a login.js file. And on submit, right? So this one is trying to do the let the user of proxy users, blah blah blah, to try to getting the user from the app.js. And we are going to remove this part. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna remove this part. Right, so just leave it empty. I'm gonna rewrite this function a little bit. Right, to make things easier, we're gonna use a library here to send a request. Right, so let me opening a new terminal to install this library. So before install, make sure you are getting into the client folder because we want to install a library for the client, not for the server. So we're gonna cd client. Right, in the client folder, npm install. The library is called Axios. Axios. Right, Axios. We'll install that. Then that just makes the request sending easier. Just waiting for that to be done. Alright, so let's import it. So let me just close this one. Right, still showing the client server. And when I want to use this library, I can just do import it. So on top, I'm gonna import Axios from the Axios library just installed. Right, so yeah, my computer is super slow, so it's still compiling, but it's gonna be fine. Right, so now in onSubmit, I can send a request to the server asking for the data and receive it from the server side. Right? So what we're gonna do is, remember, firstly we're gonna do a Axios.get, sending a get request, and to which path? It's gonna be the backticks /API/user, right, with a question mark. Username is equal to the username what user entered, right? With the username user entered. So it's gonna be the $sign username and password equals to the password user entered. This is a router for the server side. All right, we're sending this request to the server. And this, remember, this one going to gives us going to returns us a user. Right, so we can see the constant user equal to that. Our constant user equal to that. The server going to send a request to the server. Someone should return us a user. And once we receive the user, we can check if user is not null. Right, we receive the user. That means the user exists. You can log in with that. So we're gonna do the history.push. Actually, let's firstly try it out to console it. Let me just show you how it looks like. We can console the log this user. Alright, once we send this request, get a request, we'll console log out the user. Alright, if you just do that, it's not gonna work. The reason for that is because once you send the request out, it's gonna take a couple minutes for the server to give you back the response. So we're gonna put a wait here. Please waiting for the response to come back, then execute the code afterwards. Execute the console log. And to make the await work, you need to make a function asynchronous. Async. Remember we talked about async and synchronous. So we want to make this one to waiting for the response come back. So we're await here, and wait after the response come back, then we'll execute the next line of code, console log out to the user. All right, we can try it out. So if I log in as Alice, login. Oh, what? We shouldn't have a question marks here. Let's see. Login. What? I don't get. Oh, I get a null, so there's no response. Actually, it shouldn't be null. It should be a user. Let me check it. What's wrong with it? Oh, let me see. Oh, I should put this either prevent default on top. Let me try it again. Login. Here we go. Right. Well, as I log in, I receive I receive a response from the server. This is my response. It has a data. Let me make it bigger. Have a status. Have status text. Something like that. So the actual user is in the data object. We open that in the data. Let's say we have the Alice Wonder, Alice, and the ID. Right, this is the information, the data we received from the server. So it's actually so if I console log user the data, that is actually the user information we get. Login, so this is the user information we need. Send a request and the response back the user information we need here. If I enter a wrong username and wrong password, it's gonna give me a null. There's no any user we found in the server. It's giving me a null. right? So now we can know like if we're logging or not. So we're gonna check. Right, actually, we're gonna call this response because it's gonna have say that's a response, and we're gonna say if there is a response.data, means there is a data, then we can navigate the user. Right, well, actually, we can say constant user equal to the response.data. Right, so we check if there is a user, then we navigate to his profile. So we do a history dot push to /user $$ the user dot underscore ID. Right, so same code we used to have, like navigate user to the profile. Else we cannot find the user, we alert invalid credential. Right, invalid credential. Right, so if we receive a user from the server, we navigate you to the profile. Otherwise, just alert you. Alright, we're not gonna do the for loop inside here. We're just sending a request to the server. Server going to do the for loop, and it gives me a response. We're moving the information to the server. I try it out. So if I do Alice, I'm navigate to the profile. Actually, I'm in the profile, so you can see the you can actually see the path here is /user/API. That's a profile path. The error I'm getting is because the profile is trying to do a for loop for getting data from app.js, but we just removed the app.js data. Yeah, we need to rewrite the profile a little bit, make it remove this error. Right, but the login itself it works. Right, login itself it works. Right, so if I provide the wrong username, login, I'm getting alert invalid credential. Right, so if I provide the correct username, password, click login, it's bringing me to profile. But the profile is not fully functional right now, so I'm getting an error. Right, don't worry about that. Right. So that's our first function we just created for login. It's called find user by credential inside the server.js. Which is this one. Not this one. It's in the user.js. This one. Find user by credential here. I need to make the font a little bit smaller. It's too big. Not see the function itself. Yeah. Alright, so we can go ahead and create a second function, which is where is that? Here. Find the users by username. So both of them are GET request, and they both have actually the same pattern. But the first one provided both username and the password. Second one only provided username. This function is used to when you register a new account, we use that to check is this username already taken or not. I'll use that checking if a username is taken or not. So we're gonna create this. Since the first two functions have the same pattern, we're gonna combine them into one function. Alright, so the first one says if there's a username and password, and then we'll do that. And we're gonna write right after that, we're gonna say else if there is only username. Right. So if we only if the client only sends us the username, doesn't send us the password, so we're gonna only check in the username. So for that I equals to 0, I smaller than users length, I plus plus. If users ice item, the username equals to the username we sent. Then user equals to the user's ice item. Alright, so this one is to checking if the username is taken. So if we found a user, that means username is taken. If we cannot find a user, that means username is not taken. Right, this function, this else if case is going to be used in the register.js component. Right, in the register component. So let's go to the register component to connect them together. Right, so again, the server, every time when you change the server, you need to restart the server manually. So we're going to Control C stop it, and the npm start to restart it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You just need to restart it. Alright, so let's go to the server, actually the component, the register component in the client side. Right, so in all the register component, we have a register function. This one is checking if password is unmatched. We don't need to change that. Here, we're checking if username is taken. Right, we're using a for loop here. Again, we're going to rewrite that. Instead of doing the for loop inside here, we're going to send a request to the server, ask the server to do it, because the data right now is moved to the server. Right, so here we're going to import Axios from Axios. I send the request to the server, checking if username is taken. Right, this one. We're going to rewrite this one. So we're going to say constant user, constant response equal to await, sending Axios.get. Right, the same URL path, so it's going to be /API/user and question mark username equals to the giving username. Right, giving username is here. Right? So this is going to give us a response. And to using the await, we need to make the whole function as an asynchronous function. We're going to add it inside here. It's equal to async function. Right, waiting for the to getting a response. And then once we're getting a response, we can check, right? If there is a data, response data, if that is existing, that means username is taken. So we're gonna do this one. So alert, username is taken, please try another one. And the return to stop the function. Right, that's it. So this for loop is rewrite into this. We're sending a request to the server to check if we have this username. If we do, if we found a user with such username, we just tell the user username is taken, please try another one. Right, let's try it out. So in the application here, we can go to register, try it out. Yeah, so if I try to register Alice again, Alice, right, register, tell me username is taken, please try another one. Right, so if I try to register as Alice1, 2, register, and it works. Right, it's bring me to my to the profile. This profile gives me an error. I haven't fixed the profile yet, but it does check the user if a username is taken. Right, if I give the same username, it's not going to allow me to register. Right, tell me username is taken. Right. Also in the network, you can see what kind of response you're getting from the server. So make it a little bit smaller. Right, so if I click it up, every time I click this one, you see I'm sending a request. So /user question mark username equal to Alice, and I'm getting a response. This is a response I'm getting from the server. And I found a user, so I'm not going to allow you to register. There is already a user called Alice. You cannot create another Alice. Right? That's a second function. Also, there's something we can remove from the app.js. Firstly, we can remove this users array. Right? We're no longer going to have a users array needed. We're not going to need that. Remove that. And also, we're going to get some errors here. So, because we removed the whole array. Let's see. The first one, line 84. We'll have add new user into users. We can just remove the function because the function should be in the server side. Right, remove that. Update the user by ID. We can also remove this function. This function should go to the server side. Right, I'm gonna quickly recreate that in the server side. Save the file. Some new errors found. Let's see, line 203. Here, right? So I don't need to pass in a user array into the logging component. Right? This user logging won't need it anymore. And same thing here. I don't need to pass in anything to the register or the profile. Right? I don't need to pass in anything into them. Remove them. Line 252. It is the last one, and users, you go to the users. So I'm going to remove that. Here we go. Compile successfully.
What's the first thing that you took off from there?
You're just checking the errors. Any errors using the any component using the users, you can remove it because we remove the users array. Checking the errors showing in your terminal. Right, so let's go back to the top. Yeah, should be good enough. Right, so we don't have users array anymore in the Axios. The whole users array is moved to the server. Yep. The user data is in the user.js right now. Right, it's in here. You see the users array we have. Let me make the font size small, too big. Right, so let's keep going to adding a new function. Right, so in the description here, we have some new functions. So slow. So we have the create user. Let's just create a new user. It is using the post method, and the pattern is /API/user. Right, same pattern, but because it is another method, so they can have the same pattern. Otherwise, the pattern has to be unique. Right, so it's a post method. So we're gonna go to the user.js, create this function. I'm gonna put it right after the first one. I'm gonna put it here. Right, create new user. So we're gonna have router.post. Right, this time is post. Pass is slash, and create a function request response. Right, so the function is gonna be inside here. So when we receive a post request, we are going to adding a new user to the users array. Right? Let me put this one to the here. Right, so we're going to receive a new user's information from the client. It's actually coming from the body part of the request. So actually, we're going to do the constant. The new user is equal to request the body. Right? We're going to set the new user information will come from the body part from the request. That's just something always going to be in the body. And then we're going to adding this one into the users array. So we're going to see the users array dot push this new user. And then we need to give a response to the server, to a client. Tell the client like a user array is updated. So we're going to say a response to JSON. Let's response him the new user's information. You can respond anything. You can just say user created, or you can just respond a new user information. I think we just respond a user information. That's a new user we just created. Right, it's very much shorter than the first one. All right, so let's go back to the client side, the register.js component. So add a new user into users. So we have something that called props.addUser. This function doesn't exist anymore. So we're going to remove that. Instead of using props.addUsers, we're going to send a request to the server. So we're going to do the await. And we do send a request. So it's going to be Axios the post. Right, send a post request to server. And the path here is going to be slash API slash user. And the data you want to send in the post, you're going to put it as a second parameter here. And put a new user. That's going to be sending as a body of the request. That's it. We're sending this new user to the server, and it should navigate us to the profile. Right. And before we test it, let's also fix the next function, the find user by ID. This is used to initialize the profile's information. This is used to initialize the profile information. We're going to need that to show the profile. Otherwise, the profile always gives us an error. Right, find user by ID. Let's go ahead and in this function into the server. So let's also get request. The user pattern is here slash API slash user, and with the UID you want to use. Right. So we're gonna do it in the user.js. So we're gonna put it here. Find the user by ID. So router dot get. This time I'm gonna be slash column ID. Right, so it's going to be request response. It's always going to be request response. Firstly, we're getting to know which ID it is. So it's going to be the constant ID equals to the request params. That how you get it? Let me see. Params the ID. Getting the ID, right? So if it's a placeholder, the way you get it is getting the from the params. And once I have the ID, I can use the for loop to finding the user. Right? Again, I'm gonna say let user equals to null. Right? Say and for let I equals to 0, for loop, I smaller than user the length, I plus plus, users the length, or users the length. Right, so if the user's ith item, the underscore ID, is equals to the ID you received from request, then we say the user equal to this user's ith item, or find this user. Right, so after for loop, we just do a rest.json, the user to the client, sending back the user information to the profile. So we are going to use this function in our profile.js. To make it work, we need to restart the server. Well, you can see like every time we add something to the server, we always need to restart the server. To make it actually easier, we can install a package. It's going to automatically help us to restart the server every time. So we can do the package name is called the nodeman. So we can do npm install nodeman. This is going to be help us to restart the server every time. We don't have to restart it by ourselves every time.
And that's node M-A-N?
Node M-O-N. Nodeman.
M-O-N.
Yeah. Alright. So instead of like a node server.js, we can use nodeman server.js. And this hold on, nodeman is not found, but we just installed it. Right. Actually, we can just add that to the package.json. I can add that as one of our scripts called from here. So I can have a let's see, a serve. We're gonna instead of this one, we're not gonna using node server.js. We're gonna use nodeman server.js. Right, add it as one of our starts. Right, server nodeman server.js. So we can do npm run server. It's gonna using nodeman to run our application. Right. So it's still showing the server started on port 3100, but the difference is like every time when I do some changes, save the file, it's gonna restart the server automatically for me. I don't have to restart it by myself every time. Just save some time. If you don't mind to restart the server every time, you can just also still using the node and then restart it by yourself. Right. This one just giving some extra functions. Right. So we created the find user by ID functions. As we said, we're going to use this one in our profile. Let's go to the profile. Client, component, user, profile. Right, in the user profile, in the use effect, this one is a function that's looking for the user information. Right, we're letting the user prompts the users. So we're going to rewrite these functions a little bit. We're going to get in the user information from the server this time. Right. Yeah. So we're actually going to rewrite this function. So we're going to let me delete the code here. Actually, comment out for now. I'm going to create a helper function here to make the code more readable. So I'm going to say constant get user. Takes nothing and do the get the user information from the server side. So we're gonna do constant user is equal to await. Right, Axios. I need to import Axios. So import Axios from Axios. Import it so I can use that here. Axios, send in the get method to the /API/user and slash with its ID, which is ID gonna be params the UID, right? So params the UID, that's ID for it. And this one should give me actually this called the response. This one should give me a response, and which we set up the user constant user equal to response the data, right? And now we're getting a user from the server. We can do this following code here, right? Set username equal to the username from user username. So the username equal to the username from the user, and so the email equal to the email from the user, and first name equal to the first name from the user, right? Do those setup. and we can erase this function, erase this comment here, and we are going to just put the use effect to call this get user function. Get the user, every time we load, we come to the profile, it's getting the user information from the server. You can put this whole thing inside the use effect. Just I don't want to make it too much code inside it, so I create a helper function and just call get the user inside the use effect. Alright, so let's try it out. So in the webmaker here, if I try to log in again as Alice, I get into the profile and getting the Alice information from the server. Right, still showing the Alice information, which is good. Log out. Right, I can register new account. Let's create a new account called msymbol. Register is create a msymbol profile, and I can check it. Right, I can still log in as msymbol. Right, so log in here. Right, so so since we move our data from client side to a server, one of the benefit is like now I can refresh a page. Even I reload the page, all my data is still going to be updated because the data is in the server right now. If I refresh the client, refresh the page, the data I just created is still stored in the server. Right, I can feel free to reload the page. It won't give you any error. But if you restarted your server, right? So if you restarted your server, the data you created is gonna be gone. Right. So for example, if I stop it, Control+C stop it, and msymbol run server, I cannot log in as msymbol anymore. Right, I won't be able to log in as msymbol. Log in is giving me error, invalid credentials. Right, every time when you refresh reload the server, the data is gone. Right, and in the future when we move our data to the database, the data will be there forever unless you delete it. But right now, like the data is still stored in the server. Every time we reload the server, data is gone. But you can feel free to reload the page. It doesn't matter. Right, so that's the two functions. Which file is not saved? I have a file not saved. Yes. So okay. So now we have the create new user, find user by ID. The last function we're missing here is update user. Right? We need to be able to update the user. This is the last function we need to create. Right, update the user. So that's used to update the user information. So let's adding that function into the user.js, and this is a put method because we're trying to update some information there. Let's go to user.js, update user. So router the put, and the path here, user pattern here is /API/user as well. So it's just going to be slash. And the request response. Alright. So update the user, we're also going to receive the new user information from the client. So we're going to do constant new user information. New user is from request body. I'm going to receive the user information from the body. And we can do for let I equal to 0. Actually, we're going to using the same map function we used in the client side. We're going to do user star map. Same function we did in the client. For each user, if the user underscore ID is equal to the new user's underscore ID, we update it. So we're gonna return the new user. Else, we'll return the user. Right? This is how we did it before, right? I guess so. We try it out. And once it's done, we're gonna send a response to the client. We're gonna response with the JSON the anything. Let me just respond to the whole the new user information to the client. Right. Response to the new user. Oh, it should be. I think I should need to say users is equal to users the map. Should I? Maybe. Users is a constant, so I cannot update it, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna do it, use a for loop here. Sorry, for let I equal to 0, I smaller than users the length I plus plus. Right? It might be easier if I just using the for loop. So if user's item the underscore ID is equal to the user's the ID underscore ID, new user underscore ID. So we found it. Then we do the user's item just equal to this new user. Update it. Yeah, that's it. That's just easier. Alright, so let's update the user. Okay, let's try it out. So in the profile, we do have update user here, update function. Alright, so we're going to rewrite this one. So not going to be using props to update the user. Instead, we're going to make this as a async function and send a request to the server. So send a await Axios the put right, update. So gonna put to the /API/user, and the information we send out is this new user. Okay, I think that's it. Let's try it out. Alright, so in the application, so let's try to log in as Alice. Login. Alright, I'm gonna update the first name into Alice123. Click OK. User information is updated. Alright, if I refresh the page, it says Alice123. If I log out, log back in, it still says Alice123. Okay, that's updated. I'm getting a warning says React hooks use effect has a missing dependencies. Get user. Right, so I can just put the get user as a dependencies inside here. Get user. It doesn't matter. Won't give me a. Let's remove the arrow. Oops. Okay, so I need to make this function before the use effect. I guess so. Just needs order needs to be get user and then do that. Make dependencies of use effects, change on error render, move it inside. Call back. I think I did. Right. You know that that warning is there for now. I can take a look how to remove that. Just a warning, doesn't matter. Right. So this is how it works. So we just rewrite, completely remove the user's array from client side and adding that to the server side. That's all the functions we need. So we have the user's array, right? So we have the user array inside the user.js. We have find the user by credential. We have find the user by username. We have create a username, create a new user, find user by ID, and update the user. And we'll remove the old functions we have in the app.js. And inside here, you won't find any function about the user. Right, they're all removed to the we move them to the server side. Right, so you can see these 3 files. Don't expect anything from the app.js. Alright, so that's it for today's lecture. And so from now on, every time we finish stuff, you better adding that to the GitHub, git add dot git commit -m, move users to server side, to server, and push it. And once you push it, you may want to go to your hierarchy, make sure the published version also works. Because we have our website online right now. So we want to have one more step. Go to hierarchy. Checking the application. That works. Open. Let's see, it's still compiling. You can view the build progress. And then once it's done, you also want to test it inside the hierarchy. Make sure that works. It's still building. Just give it 1 second. Go and close this. Just make it faster. Right, build successfully and compressing. Right, so you can see like this assignment is actually much shorter than the first one. You just need to move your current functions into the server side. And tomorrow we're going to actually this is no tomorrow. Tomorrow is a holiday. We're gonna do the website part on Monday. Right, so it's basically just still the same thing. So if you can finish this user part today, you can try to start earlier on the website part. It's going to be a similar thing. So instead of create a user, we have create a website. Instead of find the user by ID, we have find website by ID. Right, update the website and delete the website. It's much similar than the first one. Right, so try to see how much you can do by yourself about the website part. And we're going to do it together on Monday, and the page is on Tuesday, and Wednesday we're going to do the widgets, and that's it for this assignment. Right? Yeah, so let's see if the hierarchy is finished. Yes, let's check it out. So the online version, let's try to log in. Login still works, and I can try to update. First time, oops, I cannot edit it here. Something is wrong. Right, I'll check it out and let you know in next lecture. See why I'm not able to edit stuff here. Should be a reason for that. And in the register, let's register a new account. Name symbol. Name symbol. Oh, password doesn't match. Please try it again. Here we go. I can reach this new account. I can do anything but just update. Right, I'll check it out, see what's wrong with the update here, and let you know by next lecture. So, yeah, I'll upload the video to the YouTube, and you can start it right now.